We are all about the R, and I am so excited for today's episode because this is an episode where we innovate practice. This is an episode where we go where no woman has gone before in our field, and that is we are going to do what is not on the web, what is not an AI, what is not on any of your Google searches. We're going to talk about how the R can make the most complex sounds simple. If you like this, you are one of my people. And I'm going to tell you, I am not for everyone because I am about change. I'm always saying, how can we do something different? How can we do something better? I am not doing business as usual practice. And I think that's why you're here with me today. You're not interested in doing your mama's therapy. You're interested in doing better and doing something different. I can tell you, for instance, I present a lot. I've presented all over the place as an invited speaker. There are people that are going to love me, and those are people who are early adopters. These are people who are open-minded. These are people who are ready to evolve practice and asking every day, how can we do this better? And I'm also going to tell you, there are people that do not like me. I mean, it's like borderline hate this girl because she's not doing business as usual, because she is challenging you to change what you are doing and to do something different. And that is because there are people, probably 25% of the population that research indicates are very change resistant. They don't like change. And if you're with me, you embrace change. You embrace doing something different. You are always growing, and learning is your love language. So you are in the right place today because I can tell you what I'm going to share with you today is not published anywhere. It's not on AI. It's not in any research article. This is based on my own clinical expertise and what I've discovered over the years in manipulating variables and making changes every single day and saying, how can we do this better and how can we make this easier? Now, when you do that is when you grow. Okay, here I have the R, and you're going to see it on YouTube. I have it in my blender. So the R is in my blender, and it's a Vitamix blender that's lasted for about 20 years. So if you're going to invest in a blender, just get the Vitamix. You can throw nuts and bolts in there, and it's still going to work. But I have the R in the blender because I'm going to show you how the R is going to make the trickiest sounds at the preschool level, how it makes them simple by using the R, yes, you may have guessed it, in a blend, hence the blender. I'm not just showing off my Vitamix here. I have the R and the blender because we are using the R today in blends. And the reason we're using R today in blends is something known as regressive assimilation. Now, regressive assimilation is when sounds after a sound impact that sound. What we're going to look at is when the R is placed after a tricky sound, how it actually makes that tricky sound easier to produce. This is something that I've developed over the years. And how have I developed this? First of all, I want to be honest. This is something I don't have numbers for. Right? This is something that there's no published research for, either that I have done or that is in the research currently available. However, this is something that is purely out of clinical expertise. And what I call this is the green eggs and ham method, where if I can't produce a sound here or there, why not produce it over here? What I've done is with these really tricky sounds that I'm going to share with you right now, I've tried them in different phonetic contexts. So different contexts in which you have different sounds surrounding the sound. And I found that having the R after this sound has helped make it easier to produce and more accurately produced. So this might be one that you're going to want to watch on YouTube because you want to see in video what this does to your lips and the core articulation and how you produce the sounds together, the neighboring sounds, and how the R is actually helping. Or maybe you can just figure it out listening to me because I assume that you have practice in speech language therapy, so you have background knowledge that you can pull. You can do this in the car and you can kind of see what she's talking about here. Let's start in the beginning. I'm going to go from a stop sound in which the airflow is stopped. That's tricky. Then I'm going to go to a fricative sound that's tricky for our kiddos, in which the airflow, there's friction, but it continues. And then after that, I'm going to go into an affricate sound, in which with the affricate sound, you have a stop and a friction airflow. It starts with a stop and then it becomes an obstructed fricative friction airflow. That's called an affricate. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the S being frontally lisped, and we're also going to talk about it being laterally lisped and how the R can help with that. This is going to be so much fun. I'm excited to share this with you because this is one of those instances in which you only learn it from being in it and from struggling with a child that can't get the F for the life of them. And you're like, I've tried it in every context and whoa, this is what works. I gave you the disclaimer today, and the disclaimer is I can't show you the numbers. Usually I can show you the numbers and say, check it out on ResearchGate, or I can send you the numbers. Here's all the data, look for yourself. But this one, I can't give you the numbers. I can just give you my clinical experience. I've been doing this for about 23 years now, and I've been every day doing something different using the green eggs and ham method. And the green eggs and ham method is it doesn't work here or there, let's try it over there. Doesn't work over here, let's try it over there. And trying it in different contexts and then finding, oh my goodness, R is the most facilitative context for this sound. I'm going to start off with the K and G. Many of our kiddos simply cannot retract that tongue to the back of the mouth and lift it up to the velar area. So what we want to do is we want to use a sound that's neighboring. And what sound would that be? The R. So many of my 3-year-olds simply do not have the strength and coordination to both retract and elevate the tongue up to the velar portion. What I do instead is I work on the L and R sounds, the neighboring sounds. I also accept a kind of ha, like it's kind of that glottofricative ha sound, right? I accept that because we're planting the seed. They just simply can't get the closure and lift it up to the top yet. We're planting the seed to pull that tongue back and up. We're halfway there, right? So I accept that approximation. But how does the R help? Let me give you an example. So for instance, if I wanted to say the word cream, like ice cream, let's try that with the mouth without saying the ka. I just want you to say cream, okay? So saying that word cream, if you're in the car, you can say it. Ream. What you're going to feel is that your tongue is elevated back. You have your lips retracted. Now let's look at the ka. With the ka, you're going to have the lips retracted again, and the tongue is going to be up and back. So you see how the R makes it easier. So if I was just to say keem, okay? We start with our tongue at the alveolar ridge. That's the front bumpy part behind the teeth. That's where our tongue rests when it's at rest. That's what it is. So it would just be a cream, right? So now let's say the word cream, okay? You can already see you're retracting those lips back to get ready for the R. Okay? So you're not going keem. You are going to pull it back even more. If you look in the mirror, you can see it. Okay, you're getting ready to say cream. The lips are retracted, the tongue is tensed and pulled back. Cream. So you can see that having that R there helped to pull that tongue up and back. It actually made the K sound easier. What many of my kiddos will say, which is totally fine, I like to use my multimodal cue of the horse bit where I put the finger in front of the mouth. The children never put it in their mouth. It gives them a guide proprioception-wise to know where their mouth is in space. Okay, open your mouth. Cream. And I pull it out. Cream. So we start with the mouth open. The R is really going to help pull that tongue back and retract those lips for a K sound. So think about it this way. It's called regressive assimilation because the R is happening after the K. So it's actually regressing. It's going backwards and it's impacting the K and making the K easier to produce. The same thing with GR blends. If we were to say green, you can look in the mirror and you can already see that you're retracting the lips more. You're lifting the tongue up more for that R. So if we say the word green, look at that. You are already lifting that tongue up. You're putting a big smile on your face because the regressive assimilation, because you're getting ready for that R. The R is impacting the G. Green. So once again, I would take that first bit with my mouth. I'd put my finger in front, open it up. Green. Now, if you say geen, you're going to see your lips are not as retracted. Your tongue is not as elevated. The R helps. The R makes it easier. You're probably thinking, well, what about those children that say the W for R? You're really going to want to emphasize retracting the lips. If the lips are retracted, pulled back, then they can't make a W. It's incompatible. So a lot of times I use the idea, the image of a hungry dog teeth. Green. You can see my teeth. That is not a W, would not be a hungry dog. Wee. That's a weeping dog. That is how the R actually makes the K and G easier. And many of my kiddos, like they say, that produce that glottal huh sound. So to be like green, which is great. And then when they're 4.5 years old, they have that strength. They have that coordination to get that tongue elevated and stop that airflow and produce a really nice K and G sound. But what we're doing now is we're suppressing, which means we're ending that phonological process of fronting in which the tongue is at the front of the mouth. They're pulling it back. They're elevating it up. It's just they can't get there all the way just yet because they don't have the neuromuscular strength yet. But we're planting the seed on where it's supposed to go. That is one way, thank you very much, that the R doesn't make speech therapy harder, it makes it easier. So thank you very much to the R for making K and G easier. That is why, another reason why I say go right to the blends. I always tell you go right to the blends because the research indicates you're going to get greater gains because challenge creates change. And the more complex the target, the greater the cascading impact in which spontaneously you get earlier sounds naturally developing. The lower your target, the lower the gains. So that's why I always go for clusters. I never ever work on singleton sounds. Let's go to the next sound. The next sound is the F and the V, which is really hard for some of our kiddos. It's a complex sound. There's a lot going on. It's a 3-step process. You have to retract the bottom lip over your bottom teeth. Like, oh, hold up. Then you gotta shut the mouth, and then you gotta blow. There's 3 steps involved. Many of our children with autism and childhood apraxia of speech that have motor coordination difficulties and proprioception difficulties find F really, really hard, especially children with autism. The R, once again, is going to make it easy. Now, how does the R make it easy? It is going to get your lips in that position. Now, you're going to be amazed. And how is it going to do that? It's going to take that lower lip and it's going to make it retract over the teeth. Let me show you. If you're going to say the word free, right? Look what happens to your lips. I just want you to say re, okay? Re. You're going to retract the lower lip over your lower teeth. Is that not cool? How did I discover that? The green eggs and ham method. If it doesn't work here or there, let's try here and there and everywhere. And you will find the optimal context for F, and that is going to be the R, regressive assimilation again. To show it to you, just in the car, just say the word fee, right? Fee. Now, does your lip retract? Does it pull over the lower teeth? Nope, it doesn't. So many of the kiddos will continue to stop the airflow and say B, B, or they'll take their lower teeth and put them on top of their top lip. You say, bite your lip like a bunny. They're biting on the top lip instead of biting on the lower lip. Biting down, they're biting up, right? So it's just like, okay, this is all confusing. But when you have them say, just say, that lip is going to go over the bottom lip. I know it's brilliant. I know it's amazing. This is what being in the trenches does. You learn the trickety tricks of the trade. So then you go free. Once again, compare it if you're in the car, if you're watching, if you're looking in the mirror. Fee, free. So when you do that free, because of regressive assimilation, in which the sound after the F is co-articulating, which means it's being produced with the F, it's making the F easier because it's pulling that bottom lip over the bottom teeth, free, making it easier. You are welcome. If I do say so myself, that'll make your life so much easier going right to FR blends and not working on F as a singleton sound. I want to hear from you to hear how it goes in your back porch when you try it out. All right, so the same thing if we were to do for V, you can do vroom. So if you have a child with autism who really likes vehicles, let's go for it. So let's look at voom, for instance. Voom, you would easily get boom because you're not retracting the lips over the teeth. Now let's try vroom. Vroom. And there it goes. The lips, once again, go over the bottom teeth when you're producing the R, which helps with the V. So we get room. Thank you once again for the R, not making speech therapy harder, but easier. Now I'm just going to stop on the side and just a side note. I just want you to know if you're with me at the preschool level, and at the preschool level, I do work on the R at the hungry dog teeth. I work on it with every single paragraph. We're doing hungry dog teeth. And what I'm going to tell you is my elementary speech pathology colleagues, my kiddos, I follow them. And I say, do they have any problems with their R sound in elementary school? No, they do not. I'm crossing midline as I make that X sound. They do not. I'm doing a little brain gym. They do not. And that's because at the preschool level, I have been planting the imagery of the hungry dog teeth. I've been working on the R blends because when I work on those R blends, I get greater gains because the more challenging clusters, the greater the gains. We've been doing this at the preschool level to prevent the W from R from being habitual and persisting into adulthood. But not only is it not persisting into adulthood, it's not persisting in elementary school. That's what I'm finding in my back porch. I'm talking to my speech pathologist, any of my former students at the preschool level, they are not having problems with R because we do so much work on the R at the preschool level. It does not habituate. Just a side note to let you know, and if you're doing this on your back porch, talk to your elementary age speech pathologist and say, how's the R going with my former students? And you're like, oh, you're doing great on the R. Thank you very much. Let's look at the next one. The next one is the affricates ch and j. Now, when we combine them with R, these are TR and DR blends. If you were speaking British English, you would say drink, perhaps, right? Or you would say tree, perhaps. However, in standard American English, we say drink as an affricate, and we say tree as an affricate blend. Now, many of our kiddos do not say that. Instead of saying chew, they'll say do. And I call them kiddos with resting smile face. They're so happy, they're saying do, do, do. And then you go and do the choo-choo sound. You go choo, 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 choo. And they'll say choo, do. And then they'll stop at do. So what we want to do is once again get out our trusty R. And here the R is going to help you because you're going to do R. When you make that sound, our lips are going to protrude forward. There's our hungry dog teeth. What does that do? It sure makes cha and ja easier, not harder. Let me give you an example. I'm going to say the word chi, right? So if I say the word chi, I start from my alveolar ridge, that's where the tongue is, the bump behind the lips, our mouth is closed. Chi, chi, okay? Now, so it's very easy to say D, D, D. Now we're going to say tree. Oh boy, we're going to add an R to that. What you're going to see is your lips are going to protrude forward and you're going to feel that tongue come up for the R, okay? So let's say the word tree. So you're going to see, whoa, wait, that wasn't like the last one. Suddenly they're really popping forward. So we're not going to say D because of the R. So we're going to say tree. Once again, regressive assimilation. The R, because of the R being that sh sound, you have that palatal that it ends in. Your tongue is lifted to the roof of the mouth. Because the R, you have your tongue elevated up nice and high and back. And then it makes the tree much easier, the affricate. So the R, the mouth preps for that complex R sound. The mouth is like, oh, we got to get the tongue from zero, the alveolar ridge up there in front of that bumpy ridge. We got to pull it all the way back, right? And we got to take these lips that are just at rest and we got to protrude them forward to make that R sound. So there's different types of R's. We'll talk about that in a different session. There's 32 or so variations of R's. What you're going to notice is they're produced in very different ways, which is why what I do is I work on the R in different contexts because it's like a muscle. You want to work on it on different angles to have it well developed, and they're very different from each other. As you can see, for instance, this R, we're going to talk about this at the end, is very different than the FR or the KR. So is the affricate R. Okay, so if you look in the mirror, you're going to see, well, these are very different R's we're producing here. If you look at my mouth and what my cheeks are doing, okay, just from the outside. Okay, so once again, what is easier? So you say chi, you're probably going to say D. Now let's try to say tree. Whoa, what's going on here? True. So you're already protruding those lips forward in preparation for the R. You're going to feel the tongue tense up to the roof of the mouth. Tree makes it much easier. So also looking at the J sound, such as in dress. If you say, for instance, you say Jess, it'll just be like, Jess. So you're likely to say des. If you look in the mirror, you're like, I'm not doing much with the mouth. Jess. There's a little protrusion forward. Now let's say dress. Whoa, you're going to see the lips really pop forward and make that protrusion, hungry dog teeth. Dress. So what you're going to see is that is going to be much likely to turn into a D. It's very hard to take dress and make a des. It's much easier to make des. Okay. So once again, the R, it's our greatest ally. The R made the J, the DR blends, the ch, the TR blends easier because the R positioned the lips, it positioned the mouth in an affricate type of manner. It protruded those lips forward, it lifted that tongue up, it got it ready to do affricate business. When you don't have that R, you're going from 0 to 100 and you're not getting that protrusion, you're not getting that much tongue elevation. You're more likely to get a simple des or a simple tess. Okay, you know what I mean? Where the airflow is just stopped. You don't have that complexity of combining the stop with the palate in which the tongue lifts up to the roof of the mouth up there. Okay? You have that a different thing going on with your jaw, your cheeks as well, and you have a different thing going on with your lips when you're doing the affricate. Okay, so that is how, once again, yep, you are welcome. The R will make the affricates easier. I can't wait till you check this out in your practice, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to say have this kid where the affricates are so hard for this kid. I'm like, say chew, 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 and they go do, do, do. And then I was just like, okay, let's try it with an R. And then I went and I said train, and they were like train, and you're like, wow, what happened here? The R helped. Regressive assimilation. Thank you very much. Okay, so we talked about all of that. Now let's look at the 3-element blend where the SKR blend is going to be your greatest ally if you have a child who is either frontally lisping, where they're sticking their tongue out in the front of the mouth like that and making a TH sound for the S. So they're saying thun for sun. Or if you have a child that's laterally lisping, where it sounds very slushy. So instead of sun, they're saying sun, where it's got that slushy sound in it, where the air is escaping from the side of the cheek. In both situations, what we want to do is we actually want to get a nice retraction of the lips. When we retract our lips really nicely like that, and we have the KR blend, we're going to pull that tongue back up to the roof of the mouth, and it's going to get away from the teeth, which is where we want it. When we have a frontal lisp, the tongue is out front. We want to pull that tongue back. So the best sound to put, because of regressive assimilation, is an SKR blend. So let me show you. If I'm doing an SKR blend, it's like this. Let's say scrape. I like that word. Scrape. Let's just say sape. Sape. You're going to feel your tongue right up there on the alveolar ridge. Sape. It's right in the front of your mouth, right? So you can see where you'd really easily go sape, right? And it's like when you do scrape, let's do it again. Whoa, the tongue, you feel it. It's back there. It's not impacting that S. It's not even near the front of the teeth. You are preparing for the word scrape, and you get the tongue right up back in the top of your mouth. It's way away from those teeth. So that's what we want to do for the frontal lisp. We want to take advantage of regressive assimilation. Thank you very much, R, for getting that tongue away from our teeth for the frontal lisp. Now, we want to use the word scrape for the R because of the lateral lisp. We want those teeth nicely retracted. You also want your tongue elevated and out of the way. If you have the tongue lower, like this, and you don't have the teeth retracted, it'll sound like this. Shape, shape. I just have a fat kind of tongue lying down there. Shape. And I have air escaping from the side of the mouth. If we tighten it and we say scrape, you're going to see a nice big smile. You're going to have the tongue nice and out of the way. You're going to have a nice clean airflow. Scrape. So this is, once again, how the R has helped with this really tricky habitual error of lisping or lateral lisp or frontal lisp of the S. So there you have it. Those are 4 tricky sounds that are not tricky when you add R into the blend. So I have my blender here, my Vitamix. Let's put a little R in here. Boom. Here we go. And we're off. So think about it this way. Not only are you improving the production by adding the R blend, you're also going to improve the overall gains. Because if you're working on a singleton sound, you're only going to impact the sounds underneath that singleton sound. When you put it in a blend form, especially 3-element blends, that's what I always go for. Go for the gold. When you put it in a 3-element blend form, you're going to impact the 2-element blends. You're going to impact the affricates. You're going to impact all of those singleton sounds ever underneath. So the higher you aim, the higher the gains. It's so much more than just helping with production. It's helping with overall gains. So you get a 2 for the price of 1. It's going to improve in the sense of the quality of the sound and how the sound's produced. It's also going to improve in the quantity. You are going to have much less errors because you're working at the blend level instead of at the singleton level. Throw the R in the blender and take these challenging, tricky sounds at the preschool level, throw an R behind them, and see what happens. I think you're going to be amazed. I love to hear from you and see how it's going on your back porch. And I love it when you share your ideas and how you're doing something different and using your unique superpowers to make the world a better place. And if you haven't checked the SIS membership out, Now is the time. We are going into the month of May, and in the month of May, our special bonus is going to be a blend of different R blends. Like I said, I'm going to close off with saying that R blends are very different depending on what you're saying. For instance, I'm just going to go through different R blends. I would like you to just look in the mirror and see how different the R is in these different blends. If we were to say the word green, big smile R, right? Now let's say the word free. Free is a really different bunny teeth R, right? You're biting like, rrr. It's like your bottom lip is retracted, your top lip lifted, free. It's a different type of R. Now we're looking at the word tree. Here, your lips are protracted. You're like, tree. You've got the fish lips going on, like a vacuum. Tree, right? And then you can look at the SKR blend, scurry. So once again, the SKR is a little bit more open, skr, than you have with the curry. You can see already just looking at these 4 different contexts in which you have a different sound preceding each of the R's, you see that this is this case of progressive assimilation, in which each of the R's are produced in a very different manner depending on the sounds that precede it. I want you to take all this information once again, do what you do best, which is to roll up your sleeves, make the world a better place, one child at a time. You will always be first, and I hope to see you in the SIS membership and join me at the drawing board, and let's change lives together and grow together.